Okay, everybody, it's Brian Terry, and thanks for joining the Disability Digest webinar. Would somebody help me out one more time and just let me know that you can indeed see my screen and hear me? That would be a yes if you can, no if you can't. Okay, I got a yes, sir, out of that. That's great. Okay. Super. So, ready to get started. Looking forward to spending a few minutes with you today. I have like a 10-point agenda that's on the screen right here that I'm going to cover. We're going to leave some time today for questions and answers. And I am new in using this particular conference room, so I'm in hopes that I get it right. There is a chat feature. I see some of you have used that, so feel free to communicate with me throughout the show. And today, I am going to focus on exactly what's up on the screen, how to help you get started or apply for your disability income. The main goal here is to really show you what needs to be done. Okay, somebody can't see my screen. Let me see here what's going on. I want to make sure you can see my screen. How about that? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. You get a prize for the day. Thanks for letting me know. So, what's up on my screen are these bullets right here that we're going to cover. How much your benefits are worth, who qualifies, what conditions count, how to get started, how to speed up your approval process, how to get your doctor's support, which is key to getting approved, how long it takes to get approved, how to avoid common mistakes. So those are what we're going to cover, plus we have time for question and answer. And we do have independent live assistance that is going to be available for you for a few hours after today. If you want to speak to an advocate here, and I'll go through that totally for free to make sure that we can get you zeroed in on exactly what you need to do to get started or approved. First, before I get started, I would like to hear from people that are attending today. I believe everything is unmuted. If you would just like say your name and where you're in from, and you know, if there's anything else briefly in 5 words or less you'd like to share, I'd certainly love to hear from you. So, in no particular order, how about some introductions? My name's Brian, by the way. Anybody dare to say hi? No?
I will.
Oh, right.
My name is Danielle. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin.
All right, Danielle. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being a member here. Okay. Well, that was perfect. Pardon me? Thought I heard somebody else say that. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to mute everybody so we don't have any background bells ringing, and then I will unmute when we have a question and answer session. And again, feel free to use the text chat throughout the program today. First thing I want to cover is about how much your benefits are worth. And I cover this topic because a lot of people have life issues that get in the way, or they think they're going to go back to work, and maybe they can go back to work and they don't apply. And they miss out, and they really don't understand what the benefits are worth. So I'll use a general example. If you are a 50-year-old worker that becomes disabled and starts getting a disability check, your conservative cash value of payments of your benefits is around $280,000 plus Medicare. That's just a general statement, and that is based on your disability check that you would receive monthly from the time that you're approved in your early 50s until the time that you turn 62. And then that includes the difference between when you're 62 years old to 65, because how much you collect as a disability check is more than you get as Social Security disability retirement. So if you are in the financial planning mode and looking at applying for your disability, I encourage you to treat these benefits in the pursuit of them with the appropriate priority relative to their cash value, because they're a lot of money. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is, I'm going to level with you. I really wish I didn't have to do this work. So my dog's up there on the screen, and it's down in Vermont on Lake Champlain. I started this business back in 2006 because some friends of mine asked for help getting approved for disability, and I was a researcher. And I helped them, and I got hooked on helping other people. And the disability system has not gotten any better since I started, and the problems have gotten worse, and it's become more difficult and I'm going to go over the statistics with you today so you can see for yourself to do that. So anyway, in one sense, I'm glad to be here. On the other hand, it's unfortunate that the government system is set up so that you have to take time out of your day and I to go through and explain stuff that should be just, easy to do. So, but it is what it is. So let's talk about who qualifies for their disability benefits. This is one of the confusing things that in the numerous conversations that we have had here at the Disability Digest, when people talk about their conditions that they have, and they're, they're just sick from their conditions. And it's unfortunate about the conditions, but it's not the conditions really that qualify for your disability. It is the limitations that those conditions put on your ability to work that really is what Social Security looks at. So for example, let's take somebody with chronic pain. Maybe they've got lower back pain and they've got a shoulder issue and it's spiraled into fibromyalgia. Okay, so somebody with those conditions could actually be functional and working, or somebody else has a severity of them that's more significant and they're not able to. So what it comes down to is, do you have a condition that's being treated, and it's being treated and it's not getting any better, and if you're under 50, you're not able to do any job in the U.S. If you're over 50, there's some exceptions to that. It's a little bit more lenient. So the conditions, again, are one thing, but it's not the conditions, it's the limitations they put on your body, okay? So that's one general criteria. And we're going to have live, free, personal, individual assistance that'll show you how to get at the end of the call here, so you can talk to somebody individually about this and get zeroed in on that. The second key part where there's some misunderstanding is how much or what entitles you to a check from a work perspective. If, as a general rule, you have worked 50% or more of the last 10 years, paid your taxes, then you likely qualify for a Social Security disability check. So if you're one of those people that's been out of work for a while, maybe a couple years, if you've been out of work a couple years, you should take action right away. What happens, unfortunately, is you see these benefits expire and you're not able to get them back. So it's around the 5-year mark. And if the only way to get them back is to work. And if you could work, then people would most likely work. So again, the work history is a key part of that. The more you worked and the higher your income, the higher your disability check would be. So who qualifies? You got two parts to that. You have the conditions and you have the work history. And then, of course, there's some other variables in there as well, but those are the primary ones. What conditions count as valid disabilities? Well, this is a common question that's asked, but it really, again, it isn't the condition, it's the severity of it. Somebody may have depression, but it's not severe enough to get approved. So there is, again, those marked conditions that the severity of them prevents you from being able to work. Okay, so those are some of the general questions that are asked. Let me see here. I just want to take a look at, for those of you that are out there today and you don't know what your Social Security disability check amount is, or how much you would receive from a financial planning perspective, then what you should do is go to the Social Security website. I'm going to send a handout after this. You have to write all this down. Go to the Social Security website and create an account if you do not have one already. They used to send statements, but they've gone green to save money because of budget cuts. And so now everything is online. But when you open an account and you go in there, you will find that if you qualify for a disability check, it'll tell you really clear what the amount is. And if you have children that are under 18 living with you, then you'll receive your check, and then they receive a check as well until they turn 18. The general formula is they receive 50% of your check amount. So if your check is $1,500, theirs would be $750 a month. So that's helpful for parents that are raising kids. All right. How to get started. Again, I am presuming that most of you in here have not applied. That's what the topic of today's event was. So a few things to know about how to get started for your Social Security disability. There's kind of two areas of this. One is what you'll need for information. And then the other one is what you need to do with that information. And I'm going to go over that first. So this is a video that goes through it, but I think on here there is, this kind of breaks down some of the key information that you're going to need. You're going to need to know your job history, what you've done for work, and if you can go back. If you're over 50, it's really important that you go back at least 15 years in collecting this information. And the reason for that is the premise of your case could be, if you're over 50, that you're not able to do the type of work that you have done before in the past. Not necessarily the same job, but the type of work. So if you've been an administrative assistant, and then you went from administrative assistant to an executive assistant, and your job, tasks, duties, sitting, standing, typing, phone work were the same throughout your career, and you're not able to do that anymore, that is key to be able to document that in your case, okay? So work history. So before you start any application process, really get this collected. I mean, you can work with us and we can help you organize it. And again, I'll explain how that works at the end. Then the next thing you'll need is your medical history. Ideally, the required information from Social Security is they want to know what doctors you're seeing, which is the name, address, and phone number. They want to see the first visit, the last visit, and your next visit. So those are the three things. So first visit, last visit, and next visit. And that's all of your medical history. I mean, if you have conditions that you don't think are important, or maybe you went to a rheumatologist for, a diagnosis and it was just a one-time thing, all of it, kitchen sink it, okay? So those are two key things that you're going to need to have for that. Medications that you're taking, so you'll need a list of those, and who prescribed them. Good to know how much you're taking as well, all right? And as a by the way, not necessary for your application, is keep a pain journal. You'll need a backup contact for Social Security, somebody that they can contact if they cannot get in touch with you. Other information is really kind of basic, but you might need to do some digging. If you're married, they want to know your spouse's name. If you've had prior marriages, hopefully you remember them. Some people try to forget, I understand, but they want to know that. And the children that you have. So that's the basic information that you're going to need to collect for your Social Security disability case to get that started. Okay, let me take a look at my agenda here. So I'm not leaving everything to my memory. All right, so from there, you have options to go forward and to apply for your Social Security disability. You can take the information and you can go down to the Social Security office. And if you do that, I suggest you do it on a Thursday or a Friday when it's slow, so you don't have to wait long. You're going to sit and talk to a clerk and enter all your information. You can make a phone appointment, and you can do it that way. Or you can go online, and you can do it that way. So our position here is we'll go through the options and how you can apply and provide, different ways, hopefully that'll be stress-free for you. But working directly with Social Security without doing any advanced work like with us and our strategy, I mean, I wish it would work great. If it did, well, I wouldn't need to do this work, but it's just you wait on the line for a long time if you call them. You go in the office and you've got to wait there, and what you interpret to people, whether it's online or whether it's on the phone, is subject to how they enter it. So part of your case is going to be based on the premise of clear, accurate communication of not only your medical evidence, but why you're disabled. So you just have to be aware of that. And when I go through the statistics at the end, it may become obvious to you why sometimes people choose not to do that. So, but they certainly are options to do that, okay? Let's see. What's going to happen after you file your application? Okay, so now you've collected all of your doctor's records, your medical records, and you can enter them into Social Security yourself. By the way that I did it, you can work with us. We'll show you how to do it for free. But what's going to happen next after you get your application into the system is you are going to be asked to complete different paperwork. And before I get on to the specific paperwork, I don't know how many of you out there have children, but I liken working with Social Security to raising kids in some sense. I have a 13 and a 15-year-old that I love, but when I'm parenting them, I find that they often ask me the same question over and over and over again, and I just give them the same answer if I remember it. So that's what I encourage you to do with Social Security, and I applaud you for being here today to learn how to do it right, because if you answer a question on a form once and it's not right, it's locked in your case. That could be the difference between you getting approved or not. If you are sent forms, the same form, 2 different times, and you answer the question 2 different ways, they got you. All right? This happens, folks. So when you do the process of your disability application, keep copies of everything. Make sure you just slow down and you take your time and you fill out the paperwork. All right? So after you submit your application into the system, you're going to be sent some forms to fill out, and I'm just putting up the step from our mini course. That's not what I wanted. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Hang on, folks. You're going to be sent forms to fill out in the mail, and this is one of the lessons from our Social Security Disability mini course that shows you how to fill out these forms. Okay. Now, first of all, let me just get one up here. If you've already applied, maybe you've already done this, and I hope you haven't, because I hope I've caught you in time. But this is an example of a Social Security form, which is form 3373, and you're sent it after your initial application goes in the system. And basically, they would like to know what your functioning capability is, with some very kind of vague general questions, right? So what we have done to help you with that is, where did that interview go with Carl? Hang on. Is we have various contributors to the Disability Digest, and one is Carl Osterhow. He's helped over 25,000 people with their disability claims. He's a Social Security disability attorney. It's all he does. It's all he's done for a long time. And this video right here is of format similar to this, where Carl goes through each of the questions that are in the form, and he tells you exactly what to put in for an answer. And it's clear enough so that you can tailor it to your own personal situation. So to fill out the forms, these are key right here. Because if you communicate that you, for one possible question is, do you grocery shop? Well, if you grocery shop and you put yes as an answer, you may grocery shop once a month, but you don't know that when you say yes, that means to them that you're grocery shopping. Well, geez, if you can grocery shop, then you ought to be able to work. Okay, so just one of the things that there's no directions for these forms. You know, the people that have gone before us help us understand how to fill this out. All right, so when you're filling out the forms, this is what you want to use. So 2 key things: what to gather, get that into Social Security, and then when you get the forms, this is what you want to use to fill out the forms. All right. Some other things that might happen is you may be asked to go to a one of their doctors, when I say one of their Social Security doctors. And the reason why they do this is they have looked at your medical records as part of your case, and they want to have somebody that they're paying validate that your conditions are what you say they are and what's in your medical records. So this is the feedback that we get, a less than desirable experience, because sometimes the doctors that they hire are not at the top of the doctor food chain, if you will. They're those that service Medicaid patients, and they pay like $35, Social Security does, to have these tests done. So just beware. But that being said, it is totally a manageable process. One of the key things you want to do if you get to this point, and we have specific directions for this, but one of the key tips is when you go to the exam, bring an advocate with you, somebody that you know, that you trust, that will go in the exam room with you, that's not afraid to speak up. And you want to have them record the event so that you have record of what the doctor does. So for example, if you're going in with a autoimmune condition and they're going to do a pain test, an 11-point tender point test for fibromyalgia, for example, and they're going to validate that. Okay, so you go in there and you don't have an advocate with you, and the doctor does a 2-point validation test, but in their report says he does 11. That's tough. So you just have to make sure that they do what they say they're going to do, and just the fact that you have somebody that's present in there with you will hold them accountable. It really does work. Now, there's been a few instances where the doctors get ticked off, and they're like, I don't want anybody coming in here, and then that's when you need to speak up and say, listen, I'm sick. I don't remember things. We record all of my doctor's appointments so that I have record of it. It's just the only way, and this is necessary. So that usually pushes them back. The other thing that you might find out is they don't want it recorded with an iPhone. So make sure that your advocate brings in a pad of paper, like a regular notebook, and looks really studious with like a couple of pens to make it work. And they just record each step of the procedure, like check the ears at 101 and check the eyes at 105, that type of stuff. And then keep a record of that, put it in your case file, where you've made copies of everything else before. All right. Okay, a few more points to cover, and then we're going to take some time for Q&A, a few other key things I wanted to cover. We had a lot of questions about doctor support. And doctor support could be the difference between you getting approved or not at the initial level, especially at the initial level. So here's a few things on doctor support. Doctor support is really important. It's helpful, but you don't always get it. And the reason for that is sometimes it's how people ask, but sometimes it's how the doctors or what the doctors, like even their political position on disabilities. So you want to make sure it's approached in the right way. It really is leveraging the rapport that you have with your doctor. And there are forms out there that are standardized forms, and I'm pulling one up on the screen here. Let me get it over here. That we use, let me see here, I can still work with this, to get your doctor's support. So I would encourage you to use a form that is a standardized form like this one that's Social Security approved. And there's just a template introductory letter that you have here. And then down here, there's what the doctor fills out. So I'm going to bring you through a couple examples. Basically, they're talking about what the doctor has treated you for and the frequency and the findings, and down at the end, what your limitations are and an opinion on if you can or cannot work a job. That's the gist of it. And it really takes them probably maybe 10, 12 minutes to fill out. So if you go to your doctor and say, listen, I'm applying for Social Security disability, I'd like you to just fill out this questionnaire for me that will go in my case file. It unlocks me to help me with my case. I really need my benefits, and I can make sure I have my income so I can keep coming back here and paying your doctor bill. I'm telling you, doctors like revenue, they like patients, and if this is one way to keep them, oftentimes that makes sense. So if the doctor says, you know what, I don't do any paperwork for Social Security disability, then the next step that you have, you can certainly ask why, but is to fill it out and have them sign it and say, okay, doctor, I understand. I'll do all the paperwork for you. This is according to my medical records. Fill it all out. Don't be super aggressive and just ask them to sign it. And if they don't want to sign it, confirming that they're treating you for the conditions that you have and the limitations that you have, then you have to make a choice there. You either have to bail and get a new doctor, which is very common, or you just go forward with that doctor's support, which is going to make your case more difficult, if you will, to get approved. So that's kind of the double-edged sword with doctors and how to treat it. If you have a good rapport with your doctor, I expect it'll be okay. Okay. I'm going to kind of jump around just a little bit here. I'm going to talk about how to avoid the common mistakes before I talk about the approval times and all of that stuff. And then we're going to wrap up with question and answer and how you could get some free live assistance here. Okay, where was I? Oh, common mistakes. The common mistakes are, one, not applying in time. If you've been out of work for more than 17 months, then you're losing money every month. You're actually losing money if you're out of work and you don't apply at all. But you're losing more money if it's over 17 months, because you can go back and collect up to 17 months of past due benefits, but not 18, right? So if you take a $1,500 disability check, which is like, average for somebody that's in their 50s, I'm going to do the math here for you, and you multiply that times 17, that's $25,500 in back benefits that you receive. Now, if you've been out of work for 17 months and you apply and you get approved, boom, you get approved right away, that's how much you would receive. But if you apply today and it takes you 10 months to get approved, it's going to be the $25,500 plus another $15,000 that you would get when you get awarded your disability. Keep in mind, you can't go back more than 17 months, all right? So one of the key things is applying right away. take an action right away. And if you don't feel that you can do it on your own, we can show you a totally done-for-you option. So you just have to collect your information. All right, so that's mistake number one. Mistake number two is taking an uneducated guess at applying for Social Security disability. The information I showed you to collect for disability and what you need to also understand how to communicate your condition to Social Security, not only put the information in the system. And we have a mini course that shows you how to do that. Step by step. One of the lessons was this one right here, right? So as I mentioned, there's going to be a handout at the end here, and you'll get the follow-up information. Okay, so don't take a wild guess at applying for your disability benefits if you are interested in getting them in a timely manner. Okay, that's the common one. Missing deadlines. Sometimes people don't pay attention, and you get information that you do need to respond to, like the function report. Usually they send you that and they give you 10 days to return. And if you miss it, you're on holidays, or you're off, your case gets denied. So you've gone through all this work. And then the unfortunate thing is, if your case gets denied and you have to start over again, you can only go back and collect back benefits back to when you were denied. So if you were out 17 months, in my example, that $25,500, and you miss a deadline, you just made a $25,500 mistake. So please, don't miss your deadlines. Going to one of those independent medical exams, you got to make sure you hit those. So the key is just watch your mail, manage your mail, keep copies of everything, stay up on top of your deadlines, and make sure that you follow the directions either here or use professional representation to get your case managed properly, and make sure that you do it right. That will help you avoid the common mistakes. It may sound totally obvious, and it is, but that's common mistakes that people make. Okay, so next we want to talk about how long does it take to get approved. And again, I am catering this conversation to those that have not applied, that are listening today. That's what this event was intended for. We'll have other events for those that have already applied and are waiting, or you've applied and been denied. We'll have other events for those. But you'll certainly gain information as well if you fall into that situation. So the approval process time. Let me find that's not it. Okay. I'm going to break this down for you. This is from the Social Security website, and it shows the initial awards and the percentage of awards at reconsideration, and the percentage at hearing, and the pending. It just breaks it all down for you and has all the time frame. So what you can expect, apart from the percentages that I'm going to go through with you, is once you put your application in the Social Security system and it's filed, 10 months is a general average that we're seeing for you to get a decision on your first application phase. And the national average right now is around 32% of those right here. I know this is small, but I don't know how to expand this. It's around 32% of those cases get approved at the initial. And then next above this is this little skinny kind of white-gray line. It's called reconsideration. So if you get denied at your initial level, you can file an appeal, which is called a reconsideration appeal. It's basically saying Social Security says you missed it, I'm really disabled, and here's why. And around 11.7% of those cases get denied. So if you look at the first two, and it takes about 7 months or so to get a decision on that. So really, if you can get your case approved at the initial level is what you want to do, because the delays, as you can start to see, go on and on and on. So 10 months for the first, 11 months for the second. Then you wait for a hearing. And a hearing is where there's another big chunk of cases that get approved. Some statistics show that 65% of all cases get approved at the hearing level. This graph shows a little bit less than that. But if you're waiting for a Social Security disability hearing in front of a judge, figure it's going to be 20 to 24 months. Some states are getting a little better, but that's what I would expect. So the average time start to finish, if you go all the way to a hearing, is over 3 years. So if you're here today, you're in a great position to do it right and do whatever you can to get it approved at the initial application. But not only that, by doing it right, when your case ends up, if it ends up in court, then it's just going to make it really easy for the judge to say, oh, well, this should have been approved. Okay? So that'll give you an idea on your approval time. All right, now there's one other statistic here that I want to show you. And this, I don't do this to freak you out or scare you, but it's the facts. So this is what's been going on with Social Security as far as the percentage of cases that have been approved on an annual basis. And if you follow my highlight up here from 2002, they started this snapshot, and they down to 2017, and they report the statistics by annual year, so we're not done 17 yet. But what you'll see over here is the percentage of, these are the awards, and these are the percentage of the applicants that get approved. 2002, it was in the high 40s. Then you'll see it started to drop all the way down. In the last few years, it's been in the low 30s. Now, this is all of the applications that are submitted. This is not like just an initial application. What I showed you over here was what cases get approved at different stages. I'm showing you here. This is the total number of disability applicants that get approved. Now, the results, sure, they might be skewed a little bit. A lot of people apply, they get a shot, they don't appeal. Have they stuck with it? Maybe they would have gotten, I don't know those figures, but 32%, let's say it's off, I don't know, 8 or 10%, it's still a low percentage. Okay, so just emphasizing again that you should do it. Okay. All right, so what I'd like to do now, two things left. I want to explain to you at the end of the presentation how for a short period of time you can get some live assistance here and how our advocates work and what they'll do for you. But right now, I'd like to take any questions that you may have, anything at all, of course, relative to this, and so I can help you out with your individual situation. So as I mentioned, the room that I'm using, so I'm just trying to figure out how to, oh, okay. So hopefully you're unmuted and you are able to speak, or you can use the text feature to type and let me know what your question might be. Who'd like to go first? Just state your first name and what your question is, please. Going once. Going twice. Anybody have a working and applying for disability question or curiosity? Oh, hang on. Okay, here's one. All right, so the working and disability application question. Let me address that one. Hi, Linda in New Hampshire. If you're going to apply for your Social Security disability benefits, you can work. Social Security allows you to work and earn up to $1,080 a month. A few things to consider with that is if you're working and then you're applying for your Social Security disability benefits because you can't work, it creates it could create an argument for Social Security that with some reasonable accommodations that you could actually work. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're working and earning $200, $300, $400 a month, that's different than earning $1,000 a month close to the edge. So that's how that works. Now, I also want to add on, let's say that you're still contemplating going back to work, and maybe that's a factor in applying for disability. Here's a consideration for you. You start your disability application, and you go back to work, and you're able to successfully work, that is great. It's better to work than it is to not. But if you go back to work and your work experience does not exceed 6 months, your application can still be in place. And the fact that you tried to work could actually be leveraged into what's called a failed work attempt and be beneficial for your case. So if you're out of work, thinking about it, one avenue is put your application in the system. It's not going to cost you any money. It will cost you some time, but at least it's in place and it's going. Once you get approved for disability, you can work and earn up to $840 a month. I am a big advocate of that. Most of this business is run by disabled. And it's, you know, it does two things. Certainly the money is beneficial. The second thing is that it gives you something to do and keeps you productive. Okay, so there's a few other questions that came in. I'm just making notes here. So once you get approved, if you want to come back and work here as an advocate or on our Medicare team or our marketing team or customer service, we'd love to have you. We have a job board and all that. Somebody put in a question, is it easier to get an attorney? I don't make that decision for you. I'll show you how you can talk to one of our people here for free live assistance. They're not attorneys. They can go through your application options. One of the things that I do suggest that people consider is, in addition to talking with one of our team, is there's value in speaking with a Social Security disability attorney, because if they take your case, at least you know you have one. Or if they deny it, you know you got some issues. They can uncover additional evidence. They do a lot of the work for you. And frankly, they don't charge very much. I talked about the amount of money that you get as a disability recipient from a 50-year-old. It's, you know, $280,000 plus your Medicare. Most of the disability representatives pay $6,000. So I don't know. You figure it out and make the decision. I don't make that decision for you, but it's something that you need to decide for yourself. We have all the tools for you to do it here. We've got the live assistance I'm going to explain in a moment, and then figure out what's best for you. Okay. I'm just looking at the questions as they come up here. Hang on, folks. You're doing a great job. Oh. Can you see the chat that I have up on the screen, folks? Maybe not. Maybe it's just an internal thing. Okay, here's one. If a person is awarded at age 55, how long does SSD amount continue? Okay, that's kind of what your benefits are worth. So if you receive disability at age 55, you receive your I'll use an example. Let's say that your disability check is $1,500 a month. Your Social Security retirement amount is likely about 40% less than that. Let's say it's $1,100 a month. And you can follow the directions at the top of this meeting to find out. So if you get approved for disability, your check amount stays at $1,500 until you're 62 and beyond 62. So if from a financial perspective, you get paid about 40% more on disability. I'm just going to mute the lines here. And then the text chatting question seems to be. Okay, I have several additional issues that combine, stand, walk, okay. I did address this at the top of the meeting. It's not the conditions, it's the limitations that you have from those conditions and that they're consistently treated. I'm just rereading this question here. Walk, stand by speaking with my doctor. Okay. Here's a question for somebody that's been self-employed for 10 years. If you pay taxes, hopefully you have, then you would be eligible for a Social Security disability check. If you worked and did not pay your taxes, you likely would not be. How much is your disability amount? It is based on your work history. The higher your earnings in the last 10 years, the higher your check. The maximum amount is 2,600 and something for an individual, and then if you have children under 18, they receive that 50% of that. I think I've covered all of the questions. Let me just make sure. Oh yeah, okay, here's a good one. Do they take into consideration going out of work several times for the same illness? Well, they do. There's something that is called an onset date. And that is the date that you really became disabled, even though you had work attempts after that. So one of the things you want to be aware of is if you had periods of work recently that were less than 6 months, like you tried to work and you couldn't do it, then you would start your application or argue in your application that your onset date would be before that. So let's use an example and say that in August you stopped working and you'd been working for 5 months before that, right? And maybe you had other failed work attempts, but I'll just use that. So your application date or your onset date when your disability started should really be before you started that 5-month period because it was a failed work attempt. That's one of the things where we can help you pinpoint that, because 5 months is 5 checks. 5 checks at $1,500, that's $7,500. That one simple tip right there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to wrap up here today. Last thing I want to go over with you, I want to explain a little bit about how we work and how we can help you from here. We're like a radio or a TV station. Your work here, our work here doesn't cost you anything. We are for-profit. We have people that work here that are disabled. We have people that work here that are not disabled, but we are sponsored. We have sponsors. We have ads on some of our websites. I think one of them was up here. Doctors, this one? No? Anyway. And that's what funds us. So it allows us to provide the courses that we do, the work that we have the staff here. So we have live advocates that can help you. We have a limited amount of them. They are available to work with you, to talk with you about your case, and really for like a 15, 20-minute initial consultation. And they can help you understand if you qualify. They can help you get the resources that you need. They can show you how to use all of our tools. They can help you understand your options for applying on your own. If you want to use a representative, they can walk you through all of that. So they're really the backbone of our success here. We've helped over 11,800 people now get approved, and most of them in a very timely manner because there's been low to no mistakes, is the advocate work. So to request a meeting with an advocate is you just click the green button and you fill out this form and you make sure that when they call you that you are there or get right back to them. The advocates for this particular event right now are going to be available until Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. After that, we have members coming in every day. They just have to move on and be able to help another group. So again, click the green button, fill out the form. Advocate is free. There's no credit card anywhere. We don't charge for anything. You can call my number if they do. It's all over the place on the website, but that's not how we work. So that can help you get to the next level, get your application started, make sure that you've got everything that you need to do, stress-free, understand your options, make it easier for you. Okay. This event has been recorded so that you make sure that you can get the green button. I will put this website in the chat here, and you can just click on it, but I'm going to send it around with a replay here either later today or tomorrow. So tomorrow is Thursday. So check your email tomorrow if you're looking for the resources, want the free live assistance that we're going to have available for you, and then take advantage of that. So last thing is this. Yes, there's no charge. It's free. We'll make it stress-free, easy for you to get approved. We can do all that. But I want to ask this. If you find value in the work that we do, then tell some other folks. Tell them to come to the Disability Digest. Even if they're on disability, we work and help people with that. Not like in these exact same venues because they're approved. So tell them to come here and do it. And if they're looking for their disability benefits, then certainly we would love to have them do that. So thanks for being a member. Appreciate your time today. Look forward to helping you get your Social Security disability benefits approved in a quick, stress-free manner. This has been Brian Terry. Make it a great day. Over and out.